there are many different ways to adjust Castor. There are many different tools to use. The favorite one I found is the legendary Dunlop system, which comes with a Castor Camber kit. Okay, now to put this on the car, all we have to do is use their bracket that's given in the kit and put on the Castor tool, Castor gauges. It also has a kingpin inclination gauge, which you don't need to worry about on a regular race car. As you're setting this up, you want to make sure that the Castor gauge itself is as close to the center of the spindle as possible. In other words, if you have the Castor gauge too far one way or the other, then you won't get an accurate reading from side to side. And as you're doing this side to side, as you're using the adjustment, let's say you had the Castor gauge exactly in the center of the spindle on the right side of the car, then when you set it up on the opposite side of the car, you want to make sure that you have the gauge in approximately the same position. And let's say the gauge was behind the spindle, then you want it behind the spindle on that side of the car also, but not in the front, because it would give you a false reading. Now, the way to start adjusting this is you want to figure out approximately where 20 degrees of steering travel is in the car. And most formula cars, especially Formula Fords, it's not that important to get it down to an accurate 21 or 22 degrees. I just usually go with a half a turn of the steering wheel. So we start off, before we even set the gauge, we turn the wheel so the steering wheel moves about a half a turn. In most cars, this will almost be 20 degrees. Okay? It doesn't matter if you're 18 or 22, as long as you do the same thing on both sides of the car. Okay, to start this, we reset the gauge at 0. We put the numbers so they line up with the 0 mark, and then we adjust the bottom part of the gauge until the bubble is centered. And then we move the wheel back to straight ahead, which is a half a turn, and a half a turn further in the other direction, so we've moved a full turn, and we should have approximately 40 degrees of steering travel. And at this point, we use the numbered part of the gauge, the adjuster, and turn it until the bubble is centered, and that will give us a number, such as 3 here. If you want to double check, you can zero the gauge on this side of the travel by using the adjuster on the bottom, and go back in the opposite direction, a full turn, which is a half a turn to straight ahead and a half a turn further, and turn the gauge back. It will be going in the opposite direction because you went the other way. And it should read the same thing, which it does. We have 3 degrees again. So that means this wheel has 3 degrees of Castor. And you want to make sure that when you go to the other side, that side also has 3 degrees, because otherwise the car will have a tendency to pull one direction or the other as the driver is going down the straightaway. It doesn't really matter what the number itself is on a race car. It's not used for the same reason that you would on a street car. As long as the sides are the same and you are very close to what the factory recommends for Castor, then you don't have a problem. The only time you get into a point where you'd have a difference of using a lot of Castor or let's say 0 Castor is sometimes on a tight circuit you might want to run a lot of Castor. And we'll explain the reasons for that later on in the tuning session. But for right now, try to get it between 3 and 6 degrees or 2 and 5 degrees, something like that on both sides, and you shouldn't have any problem with it.
All right, to further explain the Castor angle, we made a small cutout of the chassis, with this being the rear and this being the front, and a small upright that we placed in position here representing the upright that you'd have on your race car. And the Castor angle is in difference to if the upright was straight up and down, then this determines the pivot axis of the front wheels. And if you have the upright straight up and down such as it is, then you have 0 Castor. And if you tilt the upright back, which would bring the top pivot point behind the bottom one, then you have positive Castor in your car. And this is going to make the wheel a little more difficult to turn and give it a stronger self-returning tendency.
Let's say that your car on this right front wheel does not have enough Castor in it, and we need to put more in it. Now, for what we learned on the blackboard, that means that the upper point is going to have to be moved back. Okay? We have to do that by moving both of these points back, or either angling the arm back, or on some cars where they're just shimmed with bushings, you have to remove bushings from the back, put them on the front, which will move the arm back. All of these different things move this point back, which gives you more Castor. The further this top point is behind the bottom point, then the more Castor we have. Okay? Now every time that we check the Castor and we readjust it, we have to make sure that the camber is still 0 before we check the Castor again with the gauges, because if the camber is off, then we're going to have to do it all over again. You only want to do things once. That's the main thing about this. And to check the camber, all we do is lean the camber gauge in a vertical position up against the sidewall of the tire, hopefully not hitting any of the letters or the numbers on the tire, which would push the camber gauge out in one position or the other. And then just turning the gauge until you get the bubble in the center, and it will tell you exactly how much camber you have in this wheel. Okay? Now make sure that every time you do the Castor, you change the Castor, that you recheck the camber every time, because otherwise you're going to be fooling yourself on one side of the car or the other. The nice thing is at this point that since we've done the track adjustment, and to do the track adjustment we had all the cambers all the way around the car at 0, nice straight up and down. That means that the camber adjustment after we've done the Castor is already done.